Hey, Baldinger joins us on the River Islands guest line. All guests on 95.70 Game appear on the River Islands guest line. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands, River Islands, and Lathrop? And we know our man Baldy has discovered a lot of islands recently. I see him on Instagram at the island of Capri out there near the Amalfi Coast. He's been visiting island after island, and right now on our YouTube page on Zoom, Baldy looks like a kid on Christmas morning, man. Camp is here, Baldy. What's happening? Football's back.
It sure is, guys. Bonte, Joe, it's good to see your faces. Good to be on the air with you here on the game. We're going to be here every single week this year. And it does start. It starts now. Not that camp, doesn't look the same to me as it used to, but that's all right. The fact is that, we've raised the flag. The season has begun. Now we have something really meaty and fun to talk about for the next 6 months. It's going to be great.
No, it will be great. It will be great, Baldy. Let's start here because we got some situations here with the 49ers. Brandon Aiyuk is a hold-in. He's looking for new money. Trent Williams, which surprised us all yesterday, is holding out. He wants some new money. He wants to get paid top money like Penei Sewell, $28 million a year. So let me ask you this. Take the fans inside the locker room as a player. Obviously, you played in this league. You've been around this league for over 30 years, Baldy. You got a lot of respect for the players. What is it like from a player perspective, being a teammate of guys who are holding out? What's the conversation in the locker room? Is it an unwritten rule to not speak about players and their money and them going through contract negotiations? What are the players going through when a teammate is holding out and you know he's an important cog to the football team, Baldy?
Well, first of all, it's all business. It's just business. And it's not like he's there to let anybody down. It's business. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, all players like and love when their players get paid. Mm-hmm. And if they can get a new contract, I mean, it unifies a locker room, especially when it's a guy like Trent, with the respect that he carries, which might be greater than any player. And I'm not trying to rank who's most respect, but he's the elder statesman. Mm-hmm. He's I just finished before I went to Italy, Bonte. I was at the offensive line masterminds, yep. And we were talking with a lot of Hall of Fame players that were there. Some of the great players, Lane Johnson, Teron Armstead, about some of the great players. And, you can't have a conversation about the way the game is played, especially in the offensive line, without talking about Trent Williams. And so, Trent just saw Christian Darrisaw just get paid. Penei Sewell will get paid. The market got reset. And Trent's, he's there in the twilight. And I'll never forget, I'm not getting carried away, but last year I was in the Cowboys camp day one. I'm in Oxnard, California, and Zach Martin is a holdout. And Zach Martin is their Trent Williams, mm-hmm. their right guard. And he was holding out. Jerry Jones we're holding the line. He got his contract. Well, they acquiesced, and Zach Martin got a little extra. And I think that's what's going to happen to Trent. And so the players in the locker room are pulling for Trent to get his new bag.
What about Brandon Aiyuk? He kind of walked by everybody. We didn't see him. We were a little late to practice coming in, from the radio show. And I think he was in basketball shorts as he was walking by everybody. How do you think this plays out? And for Aiyuk in particular, there's been a lot about his usage with the Niners or whatever. Would he be more valuable on a different team that plays a different style of football?
It's possible. He could get more targets on another team. I mean, you could definitely make the case for that. He shares the ball mm-hmm. with the leading rusher in the league, with a Pro Bowl tight end, with an elite playmaker in Debo. He shares the football a lot more than he would. And they're still primarily a running team, yep. as much as they still like to throw it. So there's teams that throw it like Kansas City. They're not probably going to, step up here, but I'm just throwing a team that throws it like Kansas City does 64% of the time. There's more targets to go around. So he's a true number one wide receiver, the way that he runs his route, his toughness, his ability to stay healthy, all that stuff, has him marked to be an elite player in this business, whether it's in San Francisco or someplace else.
Yeah, no doubt. Baldy here on the River Islands guest line, breaking down training camp here with the San Francisco 49ers. Brandon Aiyuk, second-team All-Pro, did it, 75 catches on 105 targets, over 1,300 yards. And to your point, Baldy, the Niners over the last 3 years are bottom 5 in pass attempts per game. So he maximizes his pass attempts. Let's look at the quarterback here because he could be in line for some money next year. What is one thing? Brock Purdy had an all-time season. We love what he did last year with the 49ers. Single-season passing yardage record in this franchise with Joe Montana and Steve Young or whatnot. But what are some of the things you want to see him improve on going into 2024? What are some areas he could clean up here moving into the future?
I mean, I think every player that plays, right, you could call, Kyle Shanahan's offensive system. You call it whatever you want to call it. I feel like every player benefits by having more experience. Look, Super Bowls, when you lose, it's devastating. It just is. It's the final game. I spent time with Nick Bosa this offseason. I was around him a lot, him and his brother. And it just allows, like, everybody does end on a losing note outside of one team that wins it all. And so it's devastating. And so you're out there, could he have made one or two more plays in that game that could have made the difference in the game? I mean, I'm sure that's how he looks at it. And so you're always going to get measured ultimately by how you play in the biggest games. That's why Joe Montana is still considered the best, if not the top three of all time. I think that's what you look at in the big games, in the big moments. Is there a play you could have made that could have made the difference? And it might come down to a handful of plays. But if you can be as consistent as he has been through a year and a half right now, and just make that one big play in that moment, because if you get that Super Bowl trophy next to your name, they never take that away from you. That stays with you forever, and that's the ultimate goal of these guys.
I want to ask more Purdy questions, but you opened up a can of worms. You and the Bosa brothers spent a lot of time together this offseason?
Have you seen Baldy?
No, but
hanging out with the D lineman, O lineman? I mean, he's a who's who.
So did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? I want to hear the whole thing. Like, where were you guys at? Did you tell them that you were underwhelmed with the season?
So here's the deal, Joe. So I have a house in Fort Lauderdale where the Bosas live. Their father, Joey, Nick, the whole group. They're all there. They all live within a couple of miles of each other. And so I'm at dinner one night at a place in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm talking to this one lady, and she's like, yeah, I see Nick every morning walking my dog. I'm like, where do you see Nick? And so she says where she sees him. I'm like, I know where that is. I'm like, let me take a walk over there, 2 miles away. Let me get a morning exercise, and let me just go see if these Bosa brothers, sure enough, Joe, like they work. I'm not giving away any information. They would wring my neck if I did. But they work out in this one field with their trainer. Nobody pays any attention to them. Nobody even knows. They're on this one field in Fort Lauderdale. And sure enough, 4 days a week, 8:45 in the morning, they're there, and they're getting their workout in probably an hour and 15 minutes every morning, getting their running, and they lift at another place. So I went over there, started talking to them, and I'm like, you guys, got their schedule down. So I went and visited them, 2, 3, 4 times over the course of a month. And I was just checking in on them, And so I wanted to see if Nick and Joey were going to go to the SAC Summit in Vegas with Vaughn and Max and the guys are like, nah, once we come from the West Coast back here, we're not going back to the West Coast. We're staying here. We got our boat. We got our lifestyle. We got our heat and humidity in our field. We got our track spikes. We're going to get our work done here. So that's what it was. It was fun.
Did Nick tell you, did he admit that it was kind of a letdown last year? Like, personally for him, because I could sense that he feels like he has something to prove this year. Hearing him at the podium, I mean, you're only going to get this level of energy from him, but you get what I'm saying. He looks bigger, and he looks like he's been at everything when it comes to the Niners activities. Did he admit any kind of shortcomings last year? Because I think you were a little unimpressed with him, as was I, because I hold him to such a high standard.
You know what there's a lot of things that he said, Joe, but I think the most important thing is he really missed training camp last year and the off season. And he said it really affected him. They brought in Javon Hargrave. He was a big key free agent acquisition, of course. They have a lot of money to try and replace DeForest Buckner, all that stuff that had been missing with Javon Kinlaw. And he said he really missed it. And it made a difference. They signed him on Friday before the opening game against Pittsburgh, and he was there. He had 3 sacks in the game, whatever. But he said that offseason, it's put him behind. And so he wanted to be there every day this offseason, including the mandatory minicamp, all that stuff. off-season training. I think you're going to see. And then, look, this new defense coordinator, Nick Sorensen, he's telling me that it's going to make a difference. You're going to see him in different places. You're going to see Nick drop this year in the coverage.
Wow.
The way you see T.J. Watt drop, probably not a lot,
right?
But you're going to see him drop. You're going to see him stand up and not always in just a 3-point stance. And so I think they're going to use him a little bit differently. And I think being there in the offseason, working with all the new guys, working with Leonard Floyd, I think you're going to see a different Nick Bosa during the season.
Brian Baldinger here on the River Islands guest line. That's good news to all 49er fans because it was a letdown last year. You bring in Leonard Floyd. Malik Collins looks good in the middle wearing big number 99. I like the prospects of him on his defensive line with Chris Kosaric as well. I'm going to go back over to Trent, Baldy, real quick here. How much more leverage does Trent Williams have, say, over Brandon Aiyuk, who's still under contract? Because I believe this offense changes dramatically without Big Trent. It feels like Big Trent holds all the cards here if he does hold out. You go to week 1 against the New York Jets and don't have big number 71. Oh, gosh, we're praying that Quentin Williams doesn't crush Brock Purdy, Baldy.
Yeah, you'll probably see Jermaine Johnson out there. Maybe if Hassan Reddick gets into camp. But regardless, I don't think it's going to come down to that, Bonte.
Yeah.
Look, Kyle and Trent have a long-standing relationship. He's here in San Francisco because of Kyle.
Yeah.
And Kyle has already gone to bat for him, saying how bad. We saw last year when Trent was battling an ankle injury what the offense looked like. It wasn't the same offense. Now, you can put that on a lot of different reasons why they lost some games when he wasn't in there, but he's just that kind of a difference maker. I remember Ezekiel Elliott saying, I'm going to make this comparison. I remember Ezekiel Elliott talking about Zach Martin one day in Dallas, and he said, no matter where the run is designed to go, it ends up behind Zach Martin. And for a while when Zeke was like rolling, it did. And I feel like if you said to Christian McCaffrey, regardless of where the run is designed to go, does it end up behind Trent? And I feel like it does. I don't believe, as good and talented as Christian is, that he wins the rushing title like he did last year if Trent Williams is in the lineup. And we're just talking about the run game. Forget about protecting Brock Purdy, giving him that security. I mean, he's just that good. And what player doesn't want to get a final payday?
Yeah.
He knows he's at this stage of his career. He doesn't need a lot of training camp. You watch him in pregame warm-up. I mean, his mental reps are probably as good as anybody that plays the game at any position of the game. He knows what it takes in order to go out there and battle for, 17-plus weeks. And so I don't think he needs a lot of time. So I don't think it's hurting him right now. You got to answer the questions every day when he's not there.
Right.
I don't know if he's back in Texas right now, where he's at, but I think he said a daughter was graduating high school. He wanted to be there, whatever. I don't know. So you give Trent a week of time to get ready for the Jets. I think he'll get ready. Brian
Baldinger here on The Morning Rush on 95.7 The Game. He'll be with us every single week throughout the football season there. You brought up Kyle Shanahan. He's 54-29 over the last 5 years when it comes to win-loss record, 8-4 in the playoffs, one of the best coaches in the league. There's no doubt his offense was humming last year, averaging 29 points per game. But there are some shortcomings here. The Super Bowl, we can't unsee not knowing the overtime rules. Not scoring after you pick off Patty Mahomes to start the third quarter here. Where does Shanahan need to improve in? Because he's great in a lot of areas, Baldy, but what are one of the things you want to see him improve in? Is it in-game management? Is it fourth quarter management? Is it play calling? What do you see? Maybe we're just nitpicking here, Baldy, because he is one of the best coaches in this league.
I think, look, nitpicking can mean a lot of different things, Monte, in this context. But, look, we all know what it comes down to. He was in Atlanta with a chance to win it. He's been in San Francisco with a 10-point lead against Kansas City. He had a chance to win it last year. But he also was down 24-7 to Detroit and came back and won the championship game. So, it's not like it's just Super Bowl or bust. But, these Super Bowl games, you talk to these players, it's just not another game. It just isn't. I know we look at it as fans, we want to put another Lombardi trophy in the 49er treasure chest. I get that. But these games are weird. They're refereed differently. Things don't get called. There's this halftime thing. There's this pregame show. There's all this fluff that isn't football. But it's a part of it. Now, the coach's job is to win a game and to coach the 60 minutes of the game. But it's not another game. It doesn't feel like another game. he just has to finish the job. He has to get there. He's got to finish it. And look, there's been a lot of coaches, Bud Grant in Minnesota. There's been a lot of coaches, Marv Levy in Buffalo. A lot of coaches that got there a bunch of times couldn't win it. They're still Hall of Fame coaches in my mind. And Kyle will probably be there one day, along with his father. It took his dad a long time to win Super Bowls in Denver. It just took him a long time. He got there at the end of Elway's career. So you just keep chopping wood. Andy Reid took a long time. And then he got the quarterback who's the best player in the league, and now he's winning them left and right. But he went through that in Philadelphia. They questioned and nitpicked his play calling, his time management, clock management, all these things in Philadelphia. I was here during all of it. And now he's the most celebrated coach in any business right now. So I think Kyle just has to break through. That's what he has to do.
Yeah, I mean, the overtime, it's going to be so hard to shake it. I mean, Baldy, it's just I still can't believe they didn't go for a touchdown and didn't take the ball second.
It's still lingering, Baldy, if you can't notice. If you can't tell, Baldy, we're still in Las Vegas thinking, boy, what happened in Sin City?
But Baldy, here's what I want to ask.
I mean, go ahead, Joe.
No,
go ahead.
You go. If you got something on it.
No, I'm just saying, like, the whole overtime thing, take it, not take it. I mean, I would say, without researching, I probably should research it, that every team in overtime takes the ball first. Put the pressure on the other team. They went right down the field. The right guard blew an assignment, and, Brandon Aiyuk's wide open in the end zone. They're going to score a touchdown in the opening drive. It takes all 11 to do things right. There's a breakdown up front, and, Brock Purdy's under pressure. And, could you have gone for it on fourth down? Yeah, but put points on the board for sure and let your defense go out there and probably try to win it or at least hold them to a field goal.
Did Nick, and I got a quarterback question, but did Nick express any specific frustration from the Super Bowl and how it went down? Nick Bosa?
Just expressed frustration in the game itself. He's been in two of these things. Yeah. And the game is just, Nick's never going to be the guy that complains about holding calls or not getting him or whatever. He just isn't. Even if it's on a hot, sweaty morning in Fort Lauderdale in June, he's never going to use that as any excuse. But my God, he can pull out plays now where he's just getting choked and dragged to the ground.
That's ridiculous.
And if that's October and not February, things can change a whole lot. But so it's just Nick is going to put it all on himself. He's got to play better in these games and make a bigger difference.
As a guy who played in the league, covers the league, loves the league, and is also a fan of the league like we are. I'm just looking around. It feels like quarterback and money, and every position, but in particular quarterback and money and how you construct your team is a conversation in almost every market. Green Bay, hey, we're going to pay Jordan Love. We don't know how much. Herbert, let's dismantle the team because we've paid the quarterback. Same thing happening with Josh Allen. We're seeing it kind of play out with Joe Burrow. Mahomes has already been through it. Lamar is going to go through it at some point. Dak, do we pay him? Tua, do we pay him? Purdy, how much do we pay him? As someone who does this for a living and is also a fan, what do they do with this quarterback and the money and how it's balanced out? Because it feels like it is a conversation year-round for every single team in the league, and it feels like everybody is afraid to say who's good at quarterback because we're like, oh, that guy's not worth 70. That guy's not worth 50. And it's almost like sapping the love out of the game for some of these excellent, amazing quarterbacks.
Yeah, but the opposite, Joe, is if you don't have one, you can't compete. I mean, Aaron Rodgers goes down the fourth play last year. Mm-hmm. The Jets fall apart. As good as their defense was, to help win some games against Buffalo and some big games, I mean, they're out of it by the time they got to December.
Yep.
If the Las Vegas Raiders can't get their quarterback situations straightened out, Devontae Adams might walk out of the locker room and that might come back. If you don't have that guy, you can't compete. And if Brock Purdy isn't the sensation that he has been, then San Francisco is probably paying Kirk Cousins what Atlanta paid him to come in there and play. So what's the alternative right now? Like I thought, actually, Joe, to your question, I thought maybe, say a team like Seattle that wasn't willing to pay Russell Wilson any longer. I thought, okay, we're going to reach a tipping point where we're just not going to pay the quarterbacks $50 million guaranteed. and we'll go back to the well, or we'll go to free agency. Except it's such a crapshoot if you go back to the college well, and who knows what Jaden Daniels is going to look like, or Caleb, or anybody else. We don't know. We hope that they all become C.J. Stroud, but we don't know, and we never know. And so we make mistakes at the very top, like San Francisco did a couple years ago with Trey. Like, we make mistakes at the very top. So that's not a guarantee. And then if you go, all right, let's get Derek Carr. Well, all right, what's that done for you? You know what I mean? Like, so if you got a guy that you believe can be that guy, I don't think there's a choice that you have right now. They have all the leverage.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Baldy. You got to pay the quarterback. If he's successful in your system, the well is dry. You can't take a crapshoot on court. We had the quarterback draft the other year with Trey Lance and Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones.
Justin
and four
Fields.
of those guys are on different teams already, Baldy, just like that. So I'm with you there. You got to pay the quarterback. All right, we got a couple minutes with you. Your training camp schedule. When does it start? When does Baldy hit the practice field? When does he go on his personal training camp tour? And will you hit the West Coast? Will we see Baldy make a West Coast appearance during this training camp tour?
All right, so I'll be at the Eagles tomorrow, the Jets on Saturday, big show Saturday, not big back-together Saturday in the NFL. I'll be at Cincinnati on Sunday, another big national show from Cincinnati with the blonde bomber right now and Joe Burrow. I'll stay there Monday. Fly to Tampa, be with the Bucks on Tuesday, the Jaguars on Wednesday. I'll be at the Hall of Fame game on Thursday. I'll be at the New York Giants on Friday. I'll be at Buffalo on Saturday, and then I'm heading to the West Coast to L.A. to do stuff around Week 1 preseason games. And I hope while I'm out there 3 weeks in a row in L.A., I hope to see some scrimmages with the Raiders, with the Chargers, and hope to get up to San Francisco for at least a day.
Wow.
Baldy,
Look at that schedule. I love that.
Did you watch the receiver doc?
No, I have not seen it.
Well, it looked like Jimmy Garoppolo broke Devontae Adams. Like, honest to God, what happened to Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, no, seriously, because I thought he was a good player. Never thought he was the best player in the league or anything like that. But it's just, it looked like he broke Devontae Adams in a month.
It feels like mentally, Baldy, Jimmy's never been the same since the ACL.
What happened?
Between the years.
Well, there's been a compounding of injuries. I mean, let's face it. I mean, when Tom Brady was suspended, Jimmy Garoppolo got a chance to play, and he got hurt in the second game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so the injuries take its toll. He wasn't built, you know, to take a beating in any kind of way. If you look at Jimmy, he's a tough guy by every measure. But physically, I mean, he broke down. He never had a great arm. He had a good release, but not a great arm. And, you know, those throws over the middle, let's face it, those throws over the middle are where San Francisco makes their living. And we know that we're all holding our breath on a lot of days with those throws over the middle. Brock is much better at layering those throws. But Jimmy, late in the progression over the middle, we all held our breath. And then what Devontae was alluding to was, I played with Aaron Rodgers all those years. I never got killed. I never got hit. He goes, I'm taking my life in my hands coming over the middle to try and catch these balls.
No doubt.
And look, I mean, receivers they've got to be able to make those catches at times, but you can't put them, you've got to be able to put it in the back shoulder and away from that safety or that linebacker that's barreling down for you.
No doubt. The Hard Knocks on the New York Giants offseason, I think giving fans a fresh perspective. Have you checked that out? Joe Shane and the boys at the New York Giants.
Yeah, I've seen some of it, heard the important clips of all that and seeing how that all went down and how, you know, Mr. Mara steps in and Joe and, you know, Brian and, you know, I mean, it's not pretty there in New York right now. I'll be there, in 2 weeks, I'll be over there in New York and, you know, I'm pulling for them, but I don't know what their offense line starts there. They haven't been able to put it together. They can't keep Saquon. You know, I'm hoping defense can at least come together. It looks like they've got a lot of talent on that side of the ball. I was with Brian Burns this offseason. They should wire that guy up. That guy is a character, man. Yeah. Like, he will entertain you and plays the game with a high deal of energy. He's a lot of fun to be around.
Baldy's training camp tour starting this weekend. Football is back. My man smiling like it's Christmas Day, man. It's good to have Baldy back. We missed you, dude. We missed you. And all of a sudden, we feel uplifted after watching one training camp practice with the 49ers, Baldy. We can't wait to talk football with you all season long.
I know.
Hey, by the way, Nobody has a better summer than you. I'm sorry. I'm like this guy's sitting there with Von Miller showing him how to chop, and you got the offensive lineman camps. Then all of a sudden, I'm having withdrawals about the island of Capri. You're in Italy. You're in Rome. What don't you do, Baldy? Come on, man.
Well, I'll just say this. There is not any cleaner water in the world than in Sardinia.
Oh,
so it was good to get back to Sardinia. I was dodging the yachts in the water, in my little Gemoni that, me and my girlfriend were flying around in, and, looking at Dana White on his yacht, landing by a helicopter. It's a different level of wealth over there. I'll say that.
Hey, Chaska, I'm telling you, man, the yachts are just sitting there on the Amalfi Coast and all over the south of France. I'm like, man, that's big boy money right there.
Does Dana White smile when he's on this yacht? Because he's never happy.
What's that?
Was Dana White smiling on that yacht? Because he seems to be never happy.
Yeah, well, I think you can carve out some time to be happy when you're in Sardinia. There's nothing not to like about it.
See you, buddy.
Magic Johnson's on his yacht out there half the time in the summertime too, man.
I'm not gonna be here.
He's not gonna be there. Baldy, you're the best, man. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks,
have fun during the training camp.
Talk to you soon, guys. You bet. Take care.
Absolutely, Brian Baldinger here on the River Riders guest line. All right, we